Are we recording? All right. All right. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and this is the work session for the City of Minnetrista of March 2nd, 2026. I'm going to start out by doing introductions. This evening with us at the work session, we have our Chief of Police, Craig Squires. We have City Administrator Jasper Krugel. I'm Lisa Whalen. I'm the mayor. And then we have council members present, Kathleen Refkin, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, Brian Govern, and then also other staff present is Allison Felsky. She's our city engineer, and then Gary Peters, who is our director of public works. Do we have anybody joining us electronically or via Zoom?
Yeah, we have Sarah Sensal is in here, and then also our clerk, Ann Meyerhoff.
Ann Meyerhoff, thank you. So welcome, Ann and Sarah. With that, we have a number of items on our agenda. Property complaints. We have the property issue, and then we have the we have to figure out a date for the holiday tree lighting event. And then hopefully Representative Myers will be here by the time we get down to the state fraud discussion. But I also want to add housing bill, which I think is more imminent. And they're going to be doing that tomorrow, or there's a committee meeting tomorrow on the housing bill. So we need to discuss that. And then Allison is here for the swamp update. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jasper for the...
Yeah. Madam Mayor, members of City Council, this stems from a discussion we had late in 2025 about a couple of properties we received complaints on that are kind of running in parallel as far as some criminal things related to vehicles. If you have questions about that, Craig is here to talk about that. For the most part, though, we're talking about kind of a check-in on what's been done or what's happening with the property. So there's a couple out there. There's one off of West Hill Drive, and I'll start off on that one first. And I was planning to pull up just some aerial imagery so you guys can see what's going on there currently. So there's been stuff out here for quite some time, but we've made contact with them, obviously, just to kind of piggyback off of our last update. There hasn't been any additional correspondence with them. They haven't communicated with us as far as the PD. I'm not aware of any real correspondence either, probably since December.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of council, that's correct. He actually has counsel now, so he has representation. So for our end, it's going through court, and they have a pretrial, I think, on March 17th. So that'll be the next legal hearing for the criminal side.
What are their criminal issues?
So it's several counts of, I don't have the criminal complaint in front of me, but several counts for our nuisance violations, anything from unlicensed vehicle to just piles of junk that could cause issues with animals or refuge issues. So but it's all ordinance violations. And I want to say there's around 20, but I don't quote me on that at this point to start with, because some of the ordinances are a little bit difficult to say, okay, that pile is definitely an ordinance and that one isn't. So they're combining different, what they would say, several different sort of violations into one count. So that's where we came up with it. As you can see from the overhead, it's pretty expansive.
If they are found guilty of that, are the fines high enough to essentially motivate them to clean up?
Probably not.
It entirely depends on a judge, and in Hennepin County, it could be questionable about how much the fine could be. So it's hard to say. I mean, it would be, I think, substantial, but is it substantial enough to clean everything up? That I'm not sure about, because to clean that up obviously is going to be pretty expensive, and they're misdemeanors, so it goes up to $1,000 per count. So it would hurt, but I'm not sure it would be enough to have them remedy this just based on the fines.
So what you can see up there, sorry for the slight technical difficulty, but up here is what is a 2025 aerial image. And then I have one nice thing that Hennepin County has is the ability to do like a little slider. And this is from 2002. So you can see it substantially has grown since 2002. I mean, it still wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't good in 2002, but it's, quite a bit more.
Bosma.
Bosma, Robert Bosma.
Yeah. So this is the one off of West Hill. So there's a couple. We'll look at the other one here shortly. So,
So what's the next steps? You can bring it forward, just hand it to somebody.
yeah, I can grab it. So as far as the city's approach goes, what we're trending to and what we're going to have to do is have a conversation probably in the summer. I think May is when we kind of decided we're going to have to, figure out, that was kind of the deadline that has been given to me and these property owners to do substantial cleanup. But at that time, we're going to have to evaluate the property, determine if the city council wants to declare it a public nuisance. If it declares it a public nuisance, there's a process to go through following our city code to abate that public nuisance. Generally, you give some period of time for the property owner to, remedy the nuisance. But if they don't in that window of time, then we abate it, and then we go and get a search warrant. These are technicalities things. We have to get a search warrant to access the property, and then somebody would then clean that property up and get it to meet our code. The cost to do all of these things would be incurred by the city, but the city can then attempt to get that from the property owner. In all likelihood, in these situations, not just this one, in general, a lot of times those end up being an assessment to the property. In this case, we have a actual business in Minnetrista. They were stopping by City Hall. Junk Masters is the name of the company, and they do this. And I said, "Hey, come in here, look at this property. What do you think? Something like this would cost to abate and to remove all the stuff." And they actually did a property in Maple Plain that was quite larger than this. But long story short, he said for budgetary purposes, probably somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000 to remove all of this stuff, which is a lot. And that's just the aesthetic piece, and that'll get it up to code. And then let's say that they don't pay that assessment, then it would potentially push that property into tax forfeiture. But from the time that we assess to the time that the tax forfeiture could occur, there could be an additional accumulation of junk. So it's this kind of cyclical piece that we don't have a lot of control over, but we do have a little bit of say in it.
Jasper, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
May I? Junk Masters isn't like a sell, when they come and they pick it up for, what do you call it, with the metal,
Scrap.
scrap metal?
Yep.
I mean, certainly that's a lot of scrap metal.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they call a scrap metal place to try to
Sell it.
sell it? Or,
Mhm.
that would be the first thing I'd do do you know the answer to that?
Oh.
May I ask?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you, that's what they do. So they'll look at the site and they'll try to determine what kind of value the materials have. And then they will build that into their price. There's still a lot of, this, if you can imagine, there's a lot of vehicle hauling back and forth, but there is some value probably in the scrap.
Am I allowed to ask these gentlemen a question?
Sure. Mr. Vanderlinde, why don't you come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then
Hi, everybody.
Claudia.
My name is Ken Vanderlinde. I live at 9450 West Hill Road. I live right alongside of and right behind this mess.
Mr. Vanderlinde, is this you then?
That's me. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You see it, Mr. Vanderlinde, from your home?
Every day.
Every day. So, okay, I just,
You don't know, I've lived there for a lot of years and it's been, I've tolerated it, tried to be neighborly, tried to get along with Bob, and I understand he's a business, but enough is enough. I've had enough. It's horrible. And your answer to your scrap back, I would say maybe 12, 15 years ago, it wasn't that bad. I have a big trailer that I haul equipment around, and a dump truck and excavating equipment. And scrap was at $310 a ton for unprepared steel. Highest it's ever been. Back then. You have never seen that price. And he had a lot of steel on that property. And he hired me. I came unloaded and I loaded. We hauled out loads. He profited with paying me for it was maybe $2,500 to, I mean, these loads for up to $4,500 a load. We hauled 2, 3, we started on a third load and he just stopped. Enough. I don't know why it was that he didn't want to haul it out. To me, after you see all this, it's a hoarding issue,
I see.
an absolute hoarding issue.
Yeah.
He needs to have junk. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. His sons moved home. He's had 3 children and his son moved home last fall. And like I said, that whole side of my driveway, that whole side, when he was supposed to be hauling stuff out, where he's telling everybody he's hauling stuff out, that whole side, if you could take a picture today, is on my driveway going in is plumb full. I woke up the other night to a noise at the end of my driveway. And I'm wondering what happened here. And I could see lights flashing and everything else. And this is what happens. They move at night.
They bring stuff in.
Everything at night.
Okay.
They were parked in my driveway and the guy was tucked around. He had a whole 2 trailers full of junk.
Oh, God.
I mean, and it's not just scrap. They get paid to haul out these, like, what these things you say,
Junk masters.
junk masters. They get to cleaning out this up and it's just complete junk. And instead of hauling it to the junkyard where it costs money to take to the junkyard, they haul it over here and pile it up.
Hmm.
And it's an imminent health. I mean, I've been there when he's crushed cars.
Right,
And
well-
the oil, nothing was contaminated. My well isn't that far behind his house. All his watershed runs off to my property. And
Yeah.
I've had enough and I think he's gone along. And I've been dealing for the last few years. I didn't want to start a wreck because I didn't want start an argument with the boys. I know them. I know I try to justice and work with them and stuff like that. But, you know, I get the runaround too. Yep, we're working on getting this out. We're working on getting that. He said, yep, the shredder downtown broke down. So he couldn't haul none. There's 30 scrap yards in Minneapolis that take scrap. Not everyone, they all pay pretty much the same. And not just one shredder breaks down. He's got an excuse for everything.
Mr. Vanderlinde, I mean,
I'm sorry if I'm rambling.
that's okay.
I feel your pain.
It's so crazy.
We understand, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So I think what we're trying to figure out tonight, we don't disagree, and we understand. I think we're with you here.
Yes.
But right now, tonight, we're trying to find out what the next steps would be, how it would work, and so on. And I think Sarah, do you want to weigh in at all? Is there any, or?
She is. And I want to add one more thing, just, you know, we wouldn't just use junk masters. We would get quotes and we would go out for a quote package to multiple different people. There we go. So we got two people probably at least. So, but that's so if somebody can do it cheaper and they, you know, that's who we would go with.
And since you have that up, what's the assessed value of that property? Just curious what percent, like,
What the Hennepin County assessment is, or
just what percentage
value,
of $100,000 would be? Okay, so it's like a third of the
much?
value of the property that cleaned it.
Yeah. So it's
That brings up a good point because that devalues my property. Very
sure.
much so. I'm to my point where I don't want to leave this to my children. And this, when they talk about their livelihood, this is my livelihood too.
Right. No, we understand. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's, there's civil proceedings or criminal proceedings going on for the nuisances. So
not for the nuisances, just for
ordinance,
just for things that are like expired tabs. I don't know, Craig can run through kind of the list of things that are criminal related.
so can we declare it a nuisance while that's going on? I
Yes.
guess that's my question. Okay, so we can't. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you remember back from our discussion, I think it was November, we kind of said, let's give them like 6 months and then see where it goes. Cause, the other property, they have been working on getting some stuff out. I think it's kind of slowed down in the last 3 months or so, but, we kind of said, we'll give them 6 months, see what happens. And then after that, I think we're going to have a conversation about if we're going to declare it a nuisance, fully aware that the money that we have to put in to do it, we may or may not see back. A lot of times, and I don't know, Sarah, if you can weigh in on this after I kind of give a description, is you'll assess it to the property and then it'll go tax forfeiture. And then the county will say, well, can you waive those assessments from the sale because it won't sell. And a lot of times in order for it to sell and maybe get redeveloped and have somebody build on it, then the city waives those fees and then we never get them back. So
That's maybe.
that's a maybe, but that happens quite regularly in municipal governments. That's kind of the cycle that you see. Sometimes it works out and we get some money back, but a lot of times we don't.
200,000 and it costs 100,000 to clean it up, we wouldn't get 100,000 again?
It depends on how the county markets it when they auction it off. So we've seen this already on a couple of things where they come and ask us for money or an assessment to take it off, and we've said no. They've been like street assessments, things like that. But it'd be up to the council, and if we say no, then it might not sell and it might just sit in tax forfeiture, and we're not getting tax
Logically,
revenues
that-
then.
Logically, that property would be worth more money if we clean it up.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah. Well,
Personally interested in that.
Yeah,
But I know it would take work because I know there's soil contamination in there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
The steel would be profitable, but
Mhm.
there's also garbage.
What happens with the, it looks like there are a lot of cars and if they don't have a title or maybe
They're all leaking.
Just,
I'm sorry?
thinking.
they're all
Oh,
leaking.
leaking.
yeah.
Okay.
Craig, what happens or how does that work?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Member Council, so each vehicle, if it's not operable and if it doesn't have current licensing on it, then that's a separate charge, misdemeanor charge through our ordinance. So if there's 25 cars, then we could do 25
So there's
counts.
probably 100 cars like that, so,
Correct.
yeah.
But so somebody can't say, well, wait a minute, that's my car that he's.
Yeah, right.
And usually what happens is you give them time to get their stuff off that they actually want. That's kind of reasonable.
Well, we've kind of done
Yeah,
that.
we've done that part.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
I'm saying, okay, now what is the next step? Do we threaten them with, I mean, I guess that's why I was asking Sarah, what is the next step?
They know that this is happening
Okay.
and that, come May, we're going to make a decision on this one way or another. So
Okay,
if we start that process, we'll start the process. It requires a public hearing. Then people will get noticed that,
okay,
we'll likely
Okay.
see these two individuals again.
right.
Yeah, so if we want to deviate from the May discussion, we can do that. We can expedite it or start it earlier if you want to.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is
I mean,
unfair
if
that they
they're-
have to do it.
If they're actively adding more junk instead of, say,
Eliminating or
eliminating or
reducing.
waiting or saying it's winter or we're gonna wait till spring. Yeah,
Takes 2 loads out, hauls 5 in.
yeah. So I
You have
mean,
a relationship with the sons, can't you speak some sense to them?
They're probably even worse.
They could be working on this. It's a hoarding issue. They just gotta have it.
And the boys are also,
Boys are just. It's threatened. Yep, and they do. It's sideways. They can't have to do this. Anybody that does that, and the sideways threats that's when I've had enough. You're not gonna threaten me sideways saying that I'm not, what's my opinion or threaten me in any which way.
So let's,
your property is the one next to your son's.
that's not his father.
That's two issues. I have the environmental issue. We're getting older, we're gonna downsize one of these days and, it's gonna knock $100,000 off the price of our house and
Yeah.
property. We did. And that's not just pie in the sky. My wife was a, vice president at Edina Realty. She knows real estate. And that's what's gonna happen. Not right.
So let me ask council. Yeah, hold on, Mr. Vanderlente, hold on. I know. So council, you want to move this up. So again, I'm just going to ask staff, Sarah, Craig, what are the steps in order to move this up and what do we need to do?
Yeah. What is there?
I think Sarah unmuted herself so she can talk.
Okay, Sarah.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I think if they're not, I don't know if they're letting the city on the property. I think they were at one point, but they probably haven't been doing so. I guess I would ask Craig what his experience with that has been. But if they haven't been letting the city on the property, we need to get on there so that we can draft up a nuisance abatement order that basically tells them specifically what they need to do in order to clean up the property. And also make sure there aren't any hazardous buildings or anything like that on the property. So we need to get what's called an administrative search warrant, which basically would allow us to get on the property, inspect it, and then we can write up the nuisance abatement order. That would be the first step. And that just needs
Okay.
to go before a judge in Hennepin County, and that process is pretty informal. So we just draft up an application, bring it to a judge any day, and then they can sign it. And then once we have that, we can go on the property. And that can be done fairly quickly. And then once we know exactly what we need to tell them they need to do, then we can draft up the nuisance abatement order and send it to them and say, you have, I don't know how many days to get this stuff done. If you don't, then, we're gonna come in and do it ourselves, and we're gonna charge you for that. And I guess where the question comes then is, what happens if they don't? And which is probably what's gonna happen here. And, at that point, arguably, we could go on the property and start removing things, but I would probably want a court order saying that was okay before we actually did it, since this is such a large property and there's a large amount of stuff. And then the other thing is too, I don't think we want to just take this stuff and throw it all away, because then the property owner is going to claim, oh, that was my collector's item, whatever, that cost $200,000 and you threw it away. So we might need to store the stuff somewhere, which is an additional cost. So that's something else you should probably factor in. There might be a way around that with the way we time this, but that is something we might need to do to be on the safe side. And then once we remove everything, then we have to have a hearing and we can assess the costs against the property. And, at that point we assess the costs, and, they might not be able to pay the assessment. They only have, I think it's a 1-year time to pay the huge assessment. And then at that point, it's, it could go into tax forfeiture. And then, then the county will ask us if we want to keep the assessment on the property, or if we want to take the assessment off so that they can sell it. I had that happen in another city. We ended up
But they-
taking this.
Sarah, they can sell,
$100,000.
but Sarah, they can sell the property with the assessment on it, and the new buyer would just have to pay the assessment, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a matter of,
so the
whether they do
first-
that, I don't know.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The first step is to get the administrative warrant. And my question would be, because there's snow cover on the ground, we might not see everything right now.
There's
I
no
mean,
snow.
or is it all gone? I mean, okay. I would just say, as long as we can see everything, because we wouldn't want to go on and then realize, oh, well, we didn't see this or we didn't see that. But so council, what does staff need, or what would you need in order to proceed with pursuing an administrative warrant? Do you need a resolution to that effect?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I don't think we need that. I just need confirmation from the chief that these people have not allowed the city on their property. So I don't want to get in there and have them say, oh, well, they could come on anytime they want. So we need something that, he says we tried and they wouldn't let us on the property. I'm assuming that's happening.
That's correct, yes. We were on it, and even when we were on it, there was some areas that they didn't want us to go to, so we just kind of looked at it from a distance and took pictures. But I can confirm, I'll still confirm that there hasn't been somebody who went out since our CSO, but I know the last time we were out there, that was it. That's
might
It'd be good to send like the CSO this week and.
Well, I would send a police officer and the CSO. I don't know that I would
No,
send one person.
we had several.
Okay,
Yeah, we had.
maybe 2 or 3 officers. Anyhow, I think we should take those steps as soon as possible then.
Yeah.
If you can do that, I don't know if we need to send them a letter or what.
Well,
Show up and ask to see the property.
we can reach out to them and see if we can access it. If they say no, then we'll pursue that administrative search warrant to get access to the site. I think we'll,
Tell them that that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And then we'll work with Sarah's group to see if once we do get that, if we need to get that administrative search warrant, what information, pictures, stuff like that we should collect in order to develop that nuisance abatement order. And
Okay.
then that would at some point get to city council
Okay.
for consideration.
Right. All right.
And we could also, then Sarah, I'm not sure what your thoughts on this are, but we could also reach out to our prosecutor to see if they would reach out to defense counsel. Might be an easier way to do this if defense can maybe talk to their client and work something out that way. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Sarah, are, but we could try doing that tomorrow. Like I said, they have a pre-trial on the 17th coming up too.
Okay. Yeah.
So it seems like there's some staff level things that we can do now that it seems like we want to accelerate this a little bit. So we'll get those things rolling. If we can't access the site and we need to get the administrative search warrant, we'll get that rolling, and then we'll access the site. But then,
Take lots and lots of pictures.
yes.
Lots of pictures.
Mr. Randall Lindy, when was the first time you complained to the city about this?
To get involved, them knowing that I was city, because I was afraid of what, I'm being neighborly, I lived up right next to them. And I did have relations, over the years, I've done things with them, and I tried to help with them. Tried to, like I said, I called him even right before the meeting and said, wow, I'll try to, because I would probably get through to him more than anybody. He's just gonna resist everything as soon as police, he's gonna resist it all. He'd rather spend his time in jail. That they're defiant, everything else. I tried to be nice, like you said. I know I grew up, I know they're civic boys, and be nice.
The complaints, I guess the question is, when have, and he has, yeah. So
We're gonna do that, and all of a sudden.
kind of falls,
And then
yeah.
I've seen it in a year, it's gotten worse and worse.
No, I'm talking about us, the city of Minnetrista.
Right.
City,
Yep. Fred has come, yeah.
Because that no one should have put up with
Yeah.
this.
Many times.
Taken away.
So I think we're good. I think we're good to go. I think we know where we're gonna, what the next steps are, and then it'll come back and I know staff will keep you posted then. Okay? All right. Do we need to, yeah. Do we need to talk about the other one?
Well, I think so.
Okay.
I'll pull that one up too, and then we can look at it. And then if it's the same direction, then we can get these
Well, I
running.
know we talked about it at a work session before, and we had told him he had until June. He had until June to kind of start cleaning things up. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, it was. And they've been sending me pictures. The last correspondence that I've had with them is December 3rd, though.
Okay.
So it's been a little while. And we drive by it almost daily. You can kind
Right.
of see what goes on
Right.
there, and there isn't really much noticeable change. But so I'll do the same thing with this. This is a 2000. This one's more dramatic. Just so you guys can kind of see what it looked like before. So it's, and I'll just mention Kevin Wynn, he's our assessor. He works with the assessor group. He said that this used to be like one of the most picturesque like farm sites in Minnetrista, and it's just he's upset about what it's.
What year is this?
This is 2002, so 24 years ago. But you can kind of see how it's really grown into a lot of different things. So they've been somewhat working with us. I haven't been able to get a hold of them or email. I know that they've had health issues, so I'm not sure where they're at with those. But these are running in parallel. If you want to
Well,
approach
what I
it
would,
a similar way.
Thing on this one.
I would say, give them notice, again, reminding them that they have to start cleaning this up by June, or whatever the date is that we gave them before, and tell them that if it's not, then this is the process that we're going to go through, and it might cost them a whole lot more. Kind of let them know what's, that then we'll have to get an administrative warrant, we'll have to do this, we'll have to do that. But give them some warning, because I think we said they had to have it cleaned up by May or June.
And we did that for the Bosma property as well. Like that was kind of the direction that was
Well, they haven't.
given to me, and they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And arguably, I don't know really if it's been measurable what has been done at the Hunter property either. But they were here at the last
Right.
meeting. So if you want it to be a little bit of a different timeline for the Hunter property compared to the Bosma, I mean, we can do that, and I can let them know the process, and hey, you have until June. I'll reiterate that, and let them know, well, if you don't have it done by June, that's that's the hard deadline. And
Yep.
if, from there, then we're gonna evaluate a nuisance declaration.
Why are you waiting 4 months?
Well, we said giving them an opportunity to clean it up is,
Do that like almost a year ago?
no, this was,
This is right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working with them for, I mean, probably a year, or pretty close to a year, yeah. I mean, when we initially sent a letter to them,
So 4 months, you've been working with them for a year.
that's at
Well,
the
3 months.
That's
yeah,
at the
March,
discretion
April,
of
and May,
council.
3 months.
I mean, I've got their email. I don't have direct communication with Boswell. That generally goes through the police. But the hunters, they email, so I can email
Mhm.
and let them know the process. But I'll,
Can anyone see, like, other than when you drive by, like, do the neighbors behind them and to the side of them actually see on the property?
you can see it from the trail. So sometimes I walk on the trail, you can see back there, and it's
Sure.
quite a bit worse from there than from the road. The road looks, how it looks, but most of the stuff is kind of hidden behind the road, so you can't see it.
Now, are there any criminal charges associated with this lot?
There are some, but because they've been working with us and removing things, we haven't filed those because they've been cooperative, where I'd say the Bosmas really haven't been. So because they've been working with us, we haven't done the criminal side on them, but they have similar things, I would say.
Okay. So are we in agreement then? We'll send them a reminder that things need to start moving a little bit faster and,
A lot faster.
and their deadline is approaching, and this is what's going to happen if we don't see significant progress. Okay?
I will
Okay.
convey
All
that
right.
message.
All right. All right. So our next thing is the holiday tree lighting. What we're gonna do maybe is just go to the house, to the C, since Representative Andrew is here. Andrew, Representative Myers is here, I'm sorry. So we'll have the fraud discussion, but I would like to add the housing bill discussion too, if you don't mind. I think that's more imminent. I know that there's a committee meeting tomorrow, I believe.
Yep.
Said tomorrow. And I think it's important that the entire council understands the bill and that we can give you some clear direction and we can have a discussion about that. Maybe we can start there because, like I said, it's tomorrow. I want to make sure that gets covered. So, but thank you for coming.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Happy to kind of share what's been going on down there. As you're aware, that bill came out on Friday, and I hope everybody got the email I sent out. And then Jasper was great to take some time this weekend because I did give him a call to get some feedback, and a few other city administrators that I work with, because we kind of have a deadline for when we need to submit amendments. And so I was working on that this weekend as well, because I know what the impact's going to be for a lot of the communities, especially the ones that I represent. So, I don't expect that everybody's gone over the entire bill, but we've come a long ways from, my 3 years, what I've seen as far as this housing bill with kind of removing some of the local control. And it's much smaller than what it was, but it's probably still not very palatable for most of my cities. Right now, a lot of the stuff that's going to take place will be for metro cities 2,500 or greater.
2,500?
2,500. Rural communities, it's going to be 5,000. And,
When they say rural communities, what do you mean by that?
I'd have to go back in and check the definition, but for my sake, it's going to be, we're considered suburban areas.
Okay.
So anything that's going to be 2,500 or under. So, two of the amendments I have is one related to cities of the fourth class or 10,000 or less. I'm going to be very honest. I don't think that probably has a chance of passing out of the committee. So in housing, I expect it to pass out housing, the bill as it stands, unless they, take one of my amendments. So one of them is the 10,000 or less. The other one is 5,000 or less. I've got to try. If I don't,
20.
I know.
And then you can come down to 15.
Yeah.
You can compromise.
What I can say is, the chairs of both of this committee have had a lot of meetings. I've spoken to League, the Metro Cities pulled me out today from the House floor, which I just got done. So that's why I'm dressed up. I usually don't like to dress up this much, but you have to do it when you're down there. And they just said that, that there's quite a few problems for them in that bill. And I told them, I've got the only 4 amendments on the bill. So I'm trying to do something to keep it going because there's going to be continued committee stops. Some of the other ones, other amendments I have is right now, they would allow density of 1/8 of an acre per density. So I look at, again, I called Jasper and I'm like, you're building a lot of houses out there. What sizes are you seeing on the lots? Because it helps me. Same with, communities like Orno that have, 2-acre lots. I mean, there's a lot of big lots out there. And so my amendment is trying to go from, 1/8 to 1/4. I've got to try to make some movement in that committee. Again, I know for some of you that's probably not enough, but I'm still trying to move it in the right direction. And then the final one that I'm doing is also a delay until 2029. A lot of my cities don't have a lot of staff. They're smaller. Comp plans are expensive. What I don't want to have you do is have to do a comp plan, in 2028 if it passes, and then you got to do another one in 2029. So I'm trying to push that out. I'm one vote. I believe my counterpart on this side of the district is also not supportive of this bill. There are some of us. I think this bill still has a ways to go. If it's going to pass, it's going to have to come to the floor and it's going to have bipartisan support. This bill has bipartisan support for and against. It's just what the numbers
What's the
are.
breakdown on numbers?
I don't know. We haven't whipped this one from.
How much are they giving so the housing first, how much are they providing representative and senators for their campaigns this year? That's what I would like to know, because I think that's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, so I'll be honest for myself. How I do business down there is I call the people that are for or against a bill. I called the bill author and said, I'm bringing these amendments. I want people to know. I've called those organizations. I said, you know where I've been on this bill. I'm here representing my cities. If I have to give you a heads up. Like that's what I want to do to people because I want to be transparent. I do that when I'm working on a bill right now with one of my DFL colleagues. And again, a lot of that work takes place outside the committees because there's a lot of personalities down there.
Sure. Oh, you think?
And I'm a firm believer if you really want to get stuff done, a lot of times it's not trying to bring, catching people off guard and not letting them know, hey, I'm going to bring, like last minute, you're going to bring an amendment. I just don't think that does anybody good.
No, I know what you're
If I've got a question
right.
for, my city administrator,
Right.
when I sat on the council, I would call them days before, give them a heads up, because I just don't want to catch people in aha moments, because then it just doesn't feel right. It's not the right thing to do.
So Andrew, have you ever asked, or has anybody ever asked, what are they trying to accomplish? What's their end goal?
I think at the end of the day, they've tried to look at they always say red states, blue states, trying to get more housing. Depends who you talk to, what they're trying to accomplish. Who I talk to is usually not so much down in St. Paul. It's usually, I always say it's not in the dome, it's back home. That's why I made sure.
But the developers and Twin City and in the Housing Alliance, what is their end goal? What do they want? Why are they doing this? I think if we could understand that, maybe there could be a conversation because we've talked with you, we've talked with our senator, and I know other cities have been talking to their representatives on both sides of the aisle. But what we've never had is we've never sat down, and nobody's ever come directly to the cities from the Housing Alliance to say, okay, how can we work together?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, it's like all they want is what they want and nothing else. And they're pushing it, but I want to know why they want this.
Yeah, I think they believe that changing these requirements are going to allow them to build more houses to address a housing crisis that they believe Minnesota is having.
So the housing crisis is what?
I think they cite facts that we're 100,000 units short of what we need.
In affordable housing or in
all
In all.
forms of housing.
Okay.
I can tell you for this community, we know what happens. I mean, you guys are putting houses up and they're selling. People want to move out here. You're addressing it. Other cities are addressing it. I just don't like the thumb on the scale that they're trying to change because every community is different.
And that's why I'm like, what are they trying to do? Just put more money in their pockets? Because that's really what it looks like.
Yeah, and again, I hate to push motives on people. My big thing.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's
I'm telling you what, so you can send this message to them since they don't want to be here talking to us.
yeah, and it's frustrating. I mean, I know they've met with cities. I know they've met with Minnetonka, but for some reason, I feel like my district of Hennepin County gets left out of a lot of stuff, to be honest, for how much, funding we provide to
We
the
just pay
state.
the bills. We don't
Yeah,
just say
and
anything.
that's, our commissioners hear that from me. We have lack of transportation options, even just sometimes snow plowing, some of those things. So, what I'm gonna continue to do, I'll carry those amendments. We'll see what gets put on there. This has a couple stops to go. I think they're gonna continue to hear some feedback. Is there going to be some changes? Hopefully, at the end of the day, I mean, for right now, how the bill stands, I mean, I'm not going to support the bill. My communities don't support this bill.
Is there any talk about decreasing the requirements on home builders? And maybe that would prompt more building if it wasn't so expensive to build in Minnesota? Because I know like my home builder, Mattamy, left the state because it was ridiculous, the restrictions they put on them.
Yes.
So is there talk about that instead of forcing things down the local community's throats, for lack of better word?
Yeah, so I do sit on the housing committee, and today I just dropped a bill. My level of frustration is if we have a housing crisis, I always say, let's get back to the basics of building houses. I also, believe we need to take care of our environment. I think that's important. Big, beautiful lake. We've got parks and trails. We have lots that used to look amazing. Back to when I was on the our issue. So, that's a tough thing to go through. But, I dropped a bill that would kind of remove some of the mandates from the energy code. I mean, these mandates that we're putting on, Minnesota has this, and then every other state has a much lower code. So we've got this much in there. I've heard numbers $20,000 to $40,000 for some of these energy code improvements that it's going to put on a house over the next 6 to 8 years. Well, that's not making houses more affordable. If we got back to the basics, if you have the finances and you want to do those things in your house, awesome. I think you should go for that. But if our true goal is to try to fix it, then we shouldn't be adding some of these, what I'll say, ancillary things onto it. Even some of the building code stuff as well. I'd like to get it so there's more options. We want safe houses. We want houses that are going to stand up to the weather here. But I feel like we just every time just pass something new. It's another $3,000 on a house and another $3,000, and it makes it more expensive.
But then if we're looking at, and this is, so at the Regional Council Mayor's meeting, there were some people from Housing First or Housing Alliance, Twin Cities Housing Alliance. And all they talked about was affordable rental units, and they want a bigger slice of the pie. They want to be able to build them and have a bigger margin. Okay, so here's the thing. If that's their goal and that's what they need and that's what they want, then let's address that. Because if it's affordable rental units, that's not going to work out here. So let's address that issue versus statewide mandates that aren't going to work in 90% of the cities. So that's what I'm saying is, what is their goal? They really just want to put in affordable rental units and basically, well, I won't say it.
No, and I think we've had some cities like anything, we've had some bad actors, but you don't throw
Right.
the baby out with the bathwater. Some of these communities are doing the right thing. They are, bringing in
Right.
developers to do things. Prime example here, some of my other cities. And I think some of the people down at the Capitol really want to pass policies like this.
Right.
And that's never been me, because you pass something like this, a lot can go wrong in between here. If you want to do something, these small things can really add up. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be very close. I, as elected leaders, I think reaching out to people, I'm happy to have a conversation with you guys, but I think other suburban members, Republican or Democrat, are having some heartburn over this bill. I think from my perspective, some rural members don't know what it's like to have a Met council.
Aren't they lucky?
Well, and that's the other
So,
issue. Here we have these comp plans and they're just going to go out the window.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
and some of the administrative, there's a lot of pieces to it. I'm trying to do what I can to get some stuff done with the time I had as far as putting amendments forward. Doesn't mean that we're not going to have other committees moving forward that we can do other amendments on.
Andrew,
Oh,
Go ahead, Claudia.
go ahead.
Andrew, how high can they go? Isn't there some kind of, you can go 90 feet high with some of these? Your neighbor building 90, 8 stories?
Know if there's a height restriction.
I think in the bill there was.
There, it was
I think
shocking.
Wasn't there removing a height restriction? Wasn't there something?
In the current one that was just sent?
Yeah,
I'd have to look back.
we'd have to look back. I'm sorry.
And then all the Stevens apartments, in Uptown, I heard they're all empty. Like people are afraid to live there.
Yeah, it's,
So is it they want to get out of Minneapolis and move to Minnetrista because Lisa knows how to run the city? I mean, I don't get it.
to me, I was on a planning commission. I was a planning chair. Everybody takes pride. It doesn't matter if you live in Maple Grove or here or other communities. Every community kind of has I always say, a touch, taste, and a feel that everybody loves, and they want to maintain that, and they want to, expand that and grow that as they see fit. That's why you guys are elected as local leaders. I always go back to, 3 years down there, something very consistent. I see a lot of state-run school board ideas, state-run zoning codes, state-run benefit packages with a lot of consequences that we're now seeing that, we're passing something that we've seen quadruple the amount of people apply for. Is the money going to be there? It's not helping our workforce. I think if we really want to address it, spending the time and effort with our local cities is really important. And then taking chunk by chunk would be a better approach. I just think people are sick of these extreme shifts over here to over here. And again, that's what we're seeing.
Sorry.
Okay. So quick question. One, are you going to be taking testimonies at any of these committee meetings?
Yeah, so testimony we will have tomorrow. For committee hearings, they'll give notice. I think there is public testimony availability.
So how does that work? Because I've never testified. No, I have at one time,
Yeah.
but then we had advance notice.
Yep.
So who's testifying
So
tomorrow? Do you know?
typically, when the bill author and then usually a lot of the advocacy groups are then down there saying, oh, I want to testify in favor of this or against that. They do have public comment that you can come in. Sometimes you get very limited time that way.
Right.
If there's future, so I can find out the next stop that it has to see if somebody is interested in coming down and testifying.
Okay, that would be great. And then also, who is really influential and has, let's say, a strong voice on the committee that's maybe for it, that we should maybe be talking to? There's always a few people, so.
There's definitely some members down there that love their bills. They love their language. The only way, as I said, I can get some of that language changed is kind of behind the scenes, so I won't bring stuff forward. I think the two people presenting are Representative Spencer Igo and Representative Larry Kraft.
So Kraft is the one that is part of that bill, isn't he?
Yeah, and
Okay.
IGO is as well. So
But
there's
what's his last, Nigel?
IGO, IGO. So he's up north from the Iron Range. So those are the two that are doing it. So on that housing committee, I was, Representative Norris is from Blaine. Chair or co-chair Howard is from Richfield. I mean, I would probably start with IGO.
Howard has been pro this from the very beginning. Yeah.
Rich, I mean, if anybody's been to St. Louis Park, that's where Larry Kraft is. I mean, I remember when I first moved here, I looked at houses and it was ding, 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 and it's fine, but now I have 4 kids. That would not work out well. So, we want a little bit more space, but I would say those two. And then, probably, Representative Jeff Dodseth is another person. Representative Jim Nash is on there.
Nash is north too, is up north, right?
Nash is Waconia. So
Oh, okay, yeah. And Dodseth is,
he is just north of the cities, like past Zimmerman, Moose Lake, maybe? Moose Lake-ish.
okay. North of, okay. All right. I just think I don't know if we can talk to some of them in a nice way and try and.
No, again, I had the conversation with several members today because we had a huddle and I said, these are the amendments I'm bringing. Here's why I'm bringing them. Some of these you've seen before, other ones you haven't. They said, oh, these, don't seem too unreasonable. It's not delete all. Like, somebody will just come in and say, I want to delete the whole bill. At that time, you're not being serious if somebody's bringing this forward. And again, let's remember, if just because you're having a hearing doesn't mean a bill's going to pass. But I think we've been
battling
against this for 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're hoping because it's an election year, maybe it won't pass this year.
Yeah. I have heard statements saying, there's a level of concern depending, and I'm being very honest, what happens in the future, that it could come in and be way worse.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Okay. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to ask Andrew what the odds of your bill that decreases requirements on housing moving forward is.
And what I heard back was, hey, this was in the discussions. I wasn't in those negotiations, but now my time as a member, I get to vote. Bringing this forward may bring it back up. The hope is that there's other members that can bring it up too in the committee, but moving on as well. I haven't polled the members on the committee. I know there's at least probably one other person voting no, but I'm guessing since they're bringing it to committee, the votes are there to move it on.
That's why they're bringing it. Yeah. They think they have the votes. So,
And they had it previously too. Again, I
Yeah.
voted no on the bill, but that's, how it works.
Yeah.
No, I meant your bill to decrease the code requirements.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
So to be honest, that would repeal the stuff Larry Kraft did 2 years ago, and it's probably not going to pass, to be honest.
I know they've talked about it. I know Representative Robinson mentioned that too, but I don't know how much it's going to decrease the cost of housing.
Yeah.
And then the question is, is it only going to affect affordable housing, and then those people that can't afford it get less, insulation or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's again, you don't have to go with require the highest rated windows.
Right.
Windows are
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, tell me about it.
If you go
I
with
just had to
that,
order something.
again, it's within the realm of what people can afford, and you hate to put these standards on that make it so expensive when you can still build a really nice house.
Right. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. What can we do, again, if you can think of anything besides talking to these people or maybe writing something to them? Or, what else can we do to help fix this? Because this is horrible for cities. It's just horrible.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what the Senate makeup looks like. there's a 1 vote majority in the Senate. I'm gonna guess that not every Democrat senator
Right.
is supportive of this and not every Republican is. If I had to guess, I think it's got a tougher route in the Senate than it does in the House.
Okay,
Wow.
okay.
Does that mean, I'll probably get in trouble if somebody watches this back because I'm naming people for you guys to, get a hold of.
Sorry.
I mean, no, that's fine.
Should
I
we
mean,
cut it out?
I mean, Julia Coleman's over here. Warren Limmer's kind of got the Maple Grove, Champlin area.
It's kind of the northwest area.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Our own senator, just don't
Yeah.
work a lot with this.
So in other words, basically, maybe even trying to come up with some other language or some other ideas that might placate a little bit,
Yeah.
but not result in a loss of our entire ability to have local control over local issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would like to see an incentive-based model.
Mhm.
But that's not the route that they've gone right now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of the day, if I can, I know it doesn't help you guys and I apologize, but even if I get it to 5,000, that has an impact for some of my cities, 4 or 5 of my cities over here. 1,000 buys you in Jasper's terms 3 years, maybe. That's what he told me, maybe.
Well, it buys us something.
Yeah.
I mean, it buys us something.
Yeah, because I talked to Mountain City Administrator and Excelsior City Administrator after I sent you guys the
Yeah.
emails as well, just because they're the ones a lot of time that are having to do all the applications and
Yeah.
so.
All right. Any other questions on this? Because I'm going to give Andrew about 5 or 10 minutes. So the real reason we had you come here. So some of the people, no, we don't want to talk about fraud. What we want to talk about is a couple things. Okay, so I think, let me just make something clear. I think we can all agree, whether you're Republican or Democrat, we can all agree that our representatives and senators, regardless of what side of the aisle you were on, did not commit the fraud, okay? That is,
Hope they did.
they did not commit the fraud. I think what happened is that nobody thought this could happen. And so certain things were not in place to prevent it. So can you tell us, and I think I recently read that there's now some legislation, either it was passed or recently passed or in the works to prevent this from happening in the future. That's one thing.
Yeah, so on the fraud topic, I mean, it's on people's minds when you get property tax increases and you get more visits to the food shelf and you're paying a lot of taxes. What I can say is the conversations I've had with people from the BCA, to be honest, this isn't a 7-year issue. This has been going on for 10 years. Some of these people tell me they've given information to certain departments and the departments haven't acted as much as they would have acted on. Now, these are law enforcement officers with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So there's some frustration within these departments that they've had this information and they're not acting on it. The hope is we can get something done that will provide more oversight.
Right.
I think I talked about it before. So I did drop a bill that allows the governor's making a lot of these decisions. He's the one that hires and fires people. I've dropped a bill that gives another layer to the legislature to be able to fire people for theft of taxpayer dollars. Because at the end of the day, if you're an upper level administrator or you're a commissioner and some of this stuff to the point of gross negligence is under your watch, I think there should be some accountability.
I don't think we disagree.
Yeah. And again, we haven't seen that in-depth approach. Again, political hot potato. I'm going to be very honest. People
Yeah.
are trying to use this, but at the end of the day, if it's 2 million to 9 billion, that's still a lot of money. I've tried to side on the 2 billion, but I know it's getting more and more. Even small, I have a bill that's not dropped yet because it hasn't been finalized, but even just extending the statute of limitations from 6 years to 10 years, because we know how government works,
Right.
especially at a higher level.
At the higher
very
levels.
Slow. I want to be able to give us that opportunity to be able and go back.
But Andrew, isn't there's some legislation that is either in the works or passed, forgive me for not remembering, but that there's going to be more oversight, there's going to be more audits. Do you know anything about that?
So, right, I mean, the governor's tried to put, is putting together a task force, but we have what they're calling like the OIG bill.
Mhm.
And that was something that passed the Senate, but has not passed the House. So there's a prime example of where a bill can be strong somewhere, but not as strong somewhere else. I can speculate what some of the heartburn is, but at the end of the day, I think we all want to address it. And I don't know why we can't do multiple things. I'm not saying that the OIG is the end all be all, because I think there's another bill I have for more spot visits unannounced. I think, especially if you're a new organization that's receiving taxpayer dollars, there's probably should be some more scrutiny. I know, a local nonprofit I work with, we do a really good job to make sure our numbers are accurate. And I think they get, 60 grand from the state. So again, smaller numbers. But I think it's not just one thing. I think we need to look at multiple things.
Exactly, I agree. And I think you mentioned it too before, accountability, particularly when it comes to department heads. I mean, they're there on a daily basis. They should be accountable for their departments, because at the state legislature, you guys are up here, they're down in the trenches. That's where they should be able to see what's happening and why it's happening.
Yeah, they're the day-to-day operators. And so what I would like to say is that I've seen in some of our commissioners, I'm not going to say the willingness, but they have the ability. I've run into some situations on bills I've carried where I've had those conversations with commissioners, and they say, your bill's not that bad. And I said, well, what if I change this way? And I'm going to be very honest. Those commissioners have told me, who signs my paycheck. And that's very disheartening to hear. And that was something that I heard for the first time last year. I get how members vote for their districts, and sometimes you get stuck on the party line stuff, but when some of these commissioners aren't willing to do it, to me, that's a level of frustration I haven't felt before.
What's the plan to push for people to be held accountable for not doing their jobs? Like the commissioners and the people that had the fraud brought to their attention and they just ignored it. Like what is the plan to show?
Did they, did they? And then, yes, that is the plan.
Yeah.
Both.
So there is the bill I have. I will say that Representative Robbins has a more aggressive bill. My philosophy is always to put multiple, like I can see one that's really soft or one that's really aggressive. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to shoot for the middle because we got to pass something.
Or what? No.
For any type of
Accountability.
So there's one, she has a bill that's more aggressive than the one I have that comes with a lot more penalties, ability for removal. I think we're throwing some options out there. It's at the end of the day, 201 legislators, one vote,
Right. Have you talked to anyone on the other side of the aisle for what are the odds one Democrat in the House is going to vote for anything to hold anyone accountable? Like the OIG bill last year, the Democrats in the House wouldn't take it up. So it passed the Senate. The Democrats in the Senate supported it, but they couldn't get anyone in the House to come over. What are the odds that, have you heard any murmurs of any indication that there's a couple of them out there that want someone to be held accountable?
But don't like fraud.
So, a Democrat is carrying the bill in the House. The problem is we came in and the bill got totally changed. I think at the end of the day, if we don't get something done, that is on Republicans and Democrats. And it's going to look bad for, all of us that are trying to serve. Because it is one of the biggest things that we're dealing with right now when we have still have a budget deficit coming up or shortfall. Time is going to tell. This is a short session. It's an election year. And again, at the end of the day, it's, we're going to have to be held accountable if we can't get something done. And our constituents like you and everybody up here want us to get something done.
And fraud, I think, is going to be one of the big issues during the campaigns and so on. So I would hope that they would put some accountability and also some oversight measures in place so that it doesn't happen. And it has to be both sides of the aisle. And I'm guessing that whether you're Democrat or Republican, I think you're going to want some kind of oversight and
Yeah,
accountability.
every one of my constituents doesn't
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And they can be Democrat, Republican, Independent. They're
Yeah.
like, we want something done and it needs to get done.
Yeah.
The hope is we can get something done. It may be, too much for some, but not enough for others, but we've got to get.
You have to get something. Something is better than nothing.
Yes.
So,
And then building on that, because I think, again, it's been going on for so long that we can't just say, we're going to pass the OIG and that's enough. I feel good about it. I think it's something that our job down there is, because we have a really big budget. It's gone up 20-30 billion dollars. We need to do a better job overall, because there's a lot of inefficiencies. Treat it like a business. And it's impacting people's lives. You think about our neighbors that, we're willing to pay our taxes for, the most vulnerable, that have really been impacted.
yeah. All right. Thank you. And I'm going to let you go because unless you have 4 kids.
Yeah, just-
Have more questions or comments or?
No, it's good.
Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate you coming out.
The only other thing I would share is Highway 7, if you guys continue to hear feedback, I've been getting some emails. I've got a meeting tomorrow. I had one today with MnDOT. I'm trying to work on that. I have another meeting with MnDOT,
I'm
and
glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Sergeant Moore, we're doing a meeting with them. I'm trying to figure out, again, I look at things at multiple different ways. Are there spot fixes that we can look at doing for a smaller dollar amount? I always think of Eureka and Church Road and Shorewood, some of these other areas, or are we looking at a much larger, grander plan that could have, some more impact on our communities? I think we've got to figure something out, because MnDOT is telling me this is within their timetable, that we need to get some funding now for that. It's just, what is that going to look like?
And I
We could
think,
get rid of the potholes that will take out my tires, just.
Yeah, I did see.
That would be nice.
And I was gonna post it because it was like, I saw there's an app that they have where you can report potholes.
well, I know that they have a mill and overlay scheduled for 29.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I'm concerned about, and we're going to get an update here, I think, in April, and we've invited MnDOT. I don't know if they'll be able to come or not. I think Ryan or whatever. But here's the thing. We don't want those center barricades,
Yep.
because we really need to have easy ingress and egress from all of our neighborhoods, current and future. And so I know we've mentioned one intersection already, but we have a couple new developments potentially coming, and we need to have them have access to Highway 7 too. I don't know how much influence you would have. I mean, may I ask?
Ryan Wilson and I talk a lot.
Yeah.
Again, he's another good person that will take my calls on the weekend.
Okay.
And the commissioner's been good as well. Even sharing with him, what's it look like to maybe stop at Rolling Acres, and then maybe spot fix some of these areas. I'm trying to share with him everything I'm hearing. Again, no matter what we do, no matter how I vote, there's always somebody mad at me.
Sure.
But continuing to have those conversations, I don't think from my conversations, it's done. This is what we're doing. I think if money's an issue, then yes, there's only so far that we can go, but we want to make sure, for the future development of this area, as well as for safety. You hate to see an accident on a road and then you can't get around because that, center
Right.
piece gets put in.
Right. Yeah, again, we want to emphasize safety, and that's, a big concern. And I know that the police departments along the corridor received, a significant amount of money. Hopefully they'll get some more this year. I don't know if that's in a bill yet or in a grant yet. Do you know where that's?
Yes, I did another bill for, I believe it was $1 million for, it was like Safe Zones grant that they got, because the commissioner for highway safety came into transportation and used Highway 7 as kind of the test subject of how much accidents are down on Highway 7 because of some of the
safe. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is though, but you're running into some of the flock cameras and some of those other cameras. So you've got to balance out some of that stuff.
Right.
So it leads to another data privacy. So there's a lot of things.
The other thing,
Highway safety, you're like, oh, we just wanted to be safe. Well, you're using some of this technology and, some people.
and the only other thing we need is, again, last time we got 250,000 for the TMO, for the Transportation Management Organization. If we could get some more money, that would be great.
We have a bill that as well. And then,
Okay.
again, hopeful for a bonding bill. We saw the.
We want money from the bond.
Yep, and I want to bring up the stuff that I know you guys are gonna not bring up. I mean, it's important to the community.
But as Kathleen mentioned, we do pay a lot out here in property taxes and in income taxes.
Yep.
And so it's, I know they always look at us as being one of the more affluent communities, but then, you know what? We also give a lot.
We're not giving, they're taking. I'm not willing.
Paying. We're also paying a lot. We're also paying a lot.
And
Yeah.
from the state level, from the county level, I have to do a lot of reminding of that. And, we've got, constituents out here that we need things addressed, like the transportation, like the bonding dollars. I mean, we've had a lot of these communities step up. It's gotten to the point now where it's so much of a burden for a lot of people here. The hope with the new budget forecast, we do have to find some cash. Again, I know bonding's going to get political, especially probably in the Senate. But the hope is that we can get some money into these communities from, myself and our senator. And I think it's good to have a split district that way.
Yeah, it is, right.
The caucuses can, she can work her caucus and I can work my caucus. And hopefully we can, get some additional funding for these cities that need it.
Okay, our city needs it.
Is there any talk about, cutting spending instead of raising taxes to fund things in this state as our taxes keep going up and up?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things that we are looking to try to do is some of that tax conformity that will help lower taxes overall that cost money. There's been some, what I hear, revenue raisers is what they like to call, tax increases. But I do think that there's an opportunity for some of these, if there's going to be tax cuts, it's going to probably have to be through conformity. And there's a couple different avenues. My guess is not every single piece is going to pass.
Right. All right. All right.
Anything else?
Well, of course,
keep
we
going.
can keep going. We can keep going.
That's where just like, I'm like, okay.
And I think we've already talked about the fire partnership thing and the issues with the relief funds. And I think you mentioned we should talk to Danny Nadeau.
Yeah, so I followed up with Susan Lincheski, who's in the police department.
Okay.
She's very aware of the situation. I think I said it before. I'm coming to the realization that every fire department and what they offer is so different. And so when you're trying to create in the simple terms, I'm trying to create, incentivize these communities that want to consolidate. If we're going to do that, and one of the pieces that's restricting that is the pension balances, it'd be nice to create a grant program or a program to say, yep, if you're going to consolidate, this is probably going to save, efficiencies, going to do a lot of things. Let's help fund the difference. Sounds easy, but it's not.
Yeah, I know it's not. But just keep that on your radar screen. I think that's another issue that we have. So we're dealing with a number of things out here. So just so you know.
Yeah, and anything else, just email me.
Sure.
Hopefully you guys are getting the emails, text, whatever you need. Even if it's outside your role, go ahead and just say, hey, it's a personal thing. This is, I love this, I hate this, whatever it is. It's helpful for me.
Andrew, I would maybe have you remind your coworkers that after 138 years, Cargill's leaving Minnesota because of taxes. This is our bellwether, largely privately held company in the world is leaving Minnesota because of taxes and going to Texas. This is not a good look. And who's going to follow?
Yeah, and that's one thing I think we've gotten away from. My philosophy is labor doesn't work without industry and industry doesn't work without labor. We've seen it with Target. This summer I went to General Mills. I went to tenant companies. I went to a lot of companies that take really good care of their employees because their employees are, really taking care of their business. And down at the legislature, a lot of times it's either, all you want to do is make people richer and on the backs of, workers. That's not how business owners are. Are there a few bad actors? Yes, in any industry, but we got to get back to doing something to help reignite the business environment here. Because the more we can do there, especially our small businesses, but, the largely, privately owned business, that's not a good thing for Minnesota.
All right, I'm gonna
Thank you.
call it because we have to have a short break.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Real quick, holiday tree lighting, and then we're gonna have a break. November 18th, Wednesday. Is that good? That's a Wednesday before that's the week before Thanksgiving. Rather than we can't do it Thursday because Mound has theirs on Thursday, the 19th.
Okay, can I say something?
Of
No.
course.
You just have to agree.
I would like us to reconsider having the tree lighting.
Well, then we have to reconsider giving money to the Gillespie Center.
Okay, we're not going to do that.
Well, if you think a tree lighting is equal to
I
helping our,
think it is.
okay, well then
I
I
think
think we should have this discussion. Because I mean, I really did. I have done my homework. It's fun, but is it really necessary? And when it costs our city,
It doesn't cost us
it
that.
does. I mean, there's in-kind costs. I mean, there's staff time and effort. And I think it is something we should really talk about.
I have a compromise, which will maybe end this discussion quickly. We do it one more time this year. We see how many people show up. We do it earlier. We have Gary and Jasper track staff's time and how much we're spending.
Jasper's
resources.
already tracked it.
And then we can evaluate it.
We can evaluate it now. He has that.
I like Kathleen's approach. I do. I like it. I think it's valuable. Everybody that comes just thinks it's absolutely great. It's a great communication effort. It's a great outreach to our community. And it's something, people pay their taxes and they don't see what they get for it. And this is one event that's not costing us very much money at all. So
It costs us as much money as we gave to the Gillespie Center.
I think we don't have a city center, we don't
have
it's
it.
what you're talking about there's no kind of touchy-feely for the
Right.
government. And this is one thing where you can do that. And it's also one thing.
What about
for
Trista
people
Days?
to Bring all their kids there.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Well,
amazing.
and I
Were you
think
there?
if we-
Yeah.
And I think if we move it earlier and we still have as poor showing as we've had the last 2 years when it was later and colder, then that will be an indication that people aren't going to come. So that would be the best way to do it because it's been really, really cold. Obviously, I didn't go this past year because of my foot and I suffered through it the year before and my children were freezing. So I think if we move it earlier and the weather's not a blizzard and people still don't come, then that's a good indication that we need to stop it and maybe find a different event that will make it feel better for Minnetrista or make Trista Day better or do something like that. But that's my compromise, so we don't spend an hour talking about it.
I agree. Brian?
I concur with that.
All right.
So I'll add I know you guys want to get a little
Yep.
snack here.
Yeah, it's really,
The direction at the strategic planning was for me to reach out to West Tonka Lions. Do you still want me to do that?
I think we could, let's see how this year goes. And then if we decide after that event that we're not going to do it next year, then I think it's a moot point. But if we decide, there were a lot of people here, then maybe we can approach the Lions and see if they want to take it over. How's that?
Make
All
the
right.
idea.
So November 18th,
Yeah, that's a Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay.
All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Are we gonna have the swamp on the
We'll-
business meeting?
We'll turn it on, put it on the business meeting because there's nothing there. So,
Okay.
all right.
I
thank
have
you.
motion to adjourn then.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Peter. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. And I will add the swamp. All right. And we might start 5 minutes late.
So let me